Arev Le'ish Lechem, oh, sorry, Mishlei 2017. Okay. Arev Le'ish Lechem Sheker, the Achar Yamali Pihu Chatzatz. Anyone? Anyone? Yeah.
Mixing.
Good guess. But didn't we say yesterday there's like 6 meanings of Arev? Yeah.
Yeah, we said it was sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah.
I knew it wasn't a co-signer.
Yes, because that was the trap we fell into last time. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sweet man is the bread of lies.
Yeah. I'm going to actually, so better, more accurate than lies. Falsehood, right? What's lies is, we've had this, I believe. You quoted it yesterday. Yeah. Kazav. Yeah, right. So the bread of, I'm going to just reverse it because it's easier in English. The bread of falsehood is sweet to a man.
Sure. His mouth will be filled with desire.
Chatzatz, yeah, so look at מצודת ציון. First of all, he says for Arev. What was it?
It's like a divider.
Like a chatzitza? Yeah. I don't know what the relationship is. That's an interesting thing. So look at the מצודת ציון for both of them. So Arev, he says in Metikut. Arev means sweet. Kamo Arba L'Shem Mincha. That's a weird thing. It's supposed to be Minchas Yehuda. Does yours say Minchas Yehuda or Mincha? Hey. You can sit next to someone and share with them. Or, oh no, you got a special copy there. Yeah. And a chatzatz is avanim dakim, fine stones. Now, this is not fine stones like what do you call it? Precious stones. Hey. But like thin or small stones. What do you call thin or small? Yes. Hello. Pebbles. Yeah, pebbles, or I'm going to say gravel. Because it's singular, not that makes much of a difference. Okay, and afterwards, his mouth will be filled with gravel. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Yeah.
What is the distinction between falsehood and lying?
Falsehood is when what you say does not correspond with reality. Lying is when it doesn't correspond with what's in your head. Right. So if I say that, if I say like, you know, the ice cream is poison, right? And I think it's poison, so then that would, but it's not actually poison. That would be a falsehood. But if I say, this is a weird example. If I say, if I say it's poison and it's really not poison, and I know it, then that's a lie. Yeah. Why am I thinking of ice cream? What was it?
Yeah, got it.
Oh yeah, good point. That's funny because I recorded that yesterday, so like it was not. But yeah, you're right. It was still we're talking about it. Yeah, that's funny. Wow, poison also.
Yeah.
The music is poison, not the ice cream. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the bread of falsehood is sweet to a man, and afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. So that's our working translation. I'm pretty sure that's going to be good. Sadigon says, so this is a case where Sadigon like does not seem to translate it literally. You see Sadigon there, top right. Himsa, you'll find Shahamamun Ha'asr Ye'arev Le'ish. You'll find that prohibited money is sweet to a person. Okay? The Achrakach Yamali Pihu Chatat, and then afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. So he switches. I don't know why he takes it, you know, figuratively in the actual translation, but he says that lechem is money. Okay, and then Targum I think is, I think the Targum is pretty straightforward. Ariv Lagavra Balachma Ragala. Now the only thing with Ragala, I didn't have a chance to look it up in the Jasher. Is that what you're doing right now?
No.
Oh. Okay. Do you want to get a Jasher? All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. If someone wants to look it up, then that would be good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ragala. Okay. And then I don't think the English translations are going to help us so much. Article says the bread of falsehood is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. Living Knox says bread gained through falsehood is delicious to a man because it's delicious, but afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. And then Alter says bread got through fraud may be sweet to a man, but in the end it fills his mouth with gravel. So we're pretty close to what we're doing. So, okay. So now we got to get the questions. What are the questions and problems here?
What is the gravel?
Yes. What is the gravel?
It might be regular.
If I had to guess, it would be like slander. It'd be slander. Because like, yeah.
It means foot or pace.
Foot bread?
Foot bread. Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird. I don't want foot bread. Did I see?
Yeah.
It might be Rigla. Did you look up Rigla?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Rigla?
Yeah.
With the
I don't think there's.
let's see here. I'm gonna look it up with you to just see what happens. You guys can think of questions while I'm looking this up.
What is bread of falsehood?
Regalusa. Regala. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff here. Okay, I don't know. All right, I'll have to check it out later. Okay. All right. Anyway, so what do we say? What do you said? What is the gravel, right?
What is the gravel?
And you said what is
What is
bread of
bread of
falsehood? What is bread of falsehood? Yeah.
Are they the same thing? Like, is it like it's gravel, but like it tastes sweet or like something like that?
What do you mean?
Like, is the bread of falsehood really just gravel?
Is the bread of falsehood? Doesn't sound like it even in the pasuk, right? Because afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Now you could say what is the relationship between bread of falsehood and gravel, right? The cause. It seems like a cause and effect relationship, right? What is the cause and effect relationship between the sweet bread of falsehood and the gravel mouth, right? Yeah.
What does it mean that it's sweet?
Yeah. What makes? What does it mean? What does it mean that bread of falsehood is sweet? And then I guess related to that, what makes it sweet, right?
What was the Living Oxa translation again?
Bread gained through falsehood is delicious to a man, but afterwards his mouth will be filled with gravel. Oh, that's another good question, right? Just to subdivide the question of what is bread of falsehood, meaning what is the relationship between the bread and the falsehood?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, is it bread gained through falsehood, or is there some other way that falsehood is the quality of the bread?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the difference in terms of how the pasuk is between the Living Oxa translation and the old translation?
We just translated it in the most general way. The bread of falsehood, lechem sheker. They're positing it's bread gained through falsehood. Yeah.
Who's the audience?
Yeah. Who is the audience of this pasuk?
And I guess what's the practical takeaway?
And what is the practical takeaway other than?
Don't lie.
Yeah, other than like avoid false bread,
Right.
falsehood, right? Avoid bread of falsehood. Yeah. And when I say other than, I mean it could just be an elaboration on that. It doesn't have to be other than. Yeah.
Like, what's the context?
What is the context? What do you mean by what is the context?
No,
Meaning like what's the decision making like scenario?
Yeah. Is it through sheker?
Yeah.
Is it through,
So let's say like what is the scenario slash parameters? Okay, of the pasuk. Yeah.
What's the marking?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the most I feel like is implicit in our question is like what's the gravel and what's the sweetness and what's the other stuff. Yeah. It's funny because like, I mean, all right, what is the gravel? And then I guess we have to ask also like, I know I'm not asking this literally, so don't look at me weird, but what's so bad about having a mouth filled with gravel? Like obviously it's not good, but like in the nimshal, then what's like, is it just that it's not food? Is it that it tastes bad? Is that like it'll harm you if you swallow it? Like so what is the gravel? I'll add that as a new question. What's so bad about a mouthful of gravel?
And what makes it
Right?
taste sweet?
What was that?
What makes it taste sweet?
What makes the bread taste sweet? I think we asked that. Did we ask that? Yeah. I mean, are you thinking of the girl Carly in my fourth grade who ate gravel that I told you about? She clearly liked it. Yeah. What was the conditions called? Pika? Where you like eat?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Pikachu. We didn't say that last time, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's nasty. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Why is it leash?
Yeah, we'll say that as like a minor question. I feel like that's not so important, but why la'ish? And it is. This is another grammatical thingy. Is la'ish to the man?
It is.
It is, right. So that's a better question, right? Why to the man? The man. Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to a man. Right. Okay.
Can I try doing an approach?
Yeah. Are we
I would
doing the
give
questions?
the like a fact thing about the relationship between bread and gravel.
Okay.
So
Was this from Hilchos Shabbos?
yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Zohar and Zohar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you like the way when you're like preparing, like turning from a wheat crop into bread, one of the stages is you winnow it, which is you take like a pitchfork and toss like the kernels and chaff up into the air, and the chaff goes away and the kernels fall down, and like that's what you grind to make flour. But if you but then it's on the ground and you have to pick out the pebbles, otherwise you're going to have pebbles in your flour. And so if you don't do that, then you're going to have pebbles in your bread.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's a good fact to mention, because it's totally possible that like this was an experience that like your mom makes bread and like she was lazy in the winnowing, and then you're eating your bread and then suddenly you like crunch on a gravel, So maybe this is a common experience, or maybe it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Two equal possibilities. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So so for those who are here for the first time, we try to figure it out on our own, and then we do Mefarshim. That's what we're doing right now. And Avi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of simple approach, but like maybe you could say that like the mistake you're making is like thinking that like you're gonna be like filled up with like sustenance through bread of falsehood,
Yeah.
and like no, like you're just gonna have a mouthful of gravel.
Yeah. So that definitely seems to be the mashal, is that you think. Well, okay. This is another question just in the mashal itself. Is it that the bread that you're eating actually is sweet, and then it transforms into gravel, or is it that you think it's going to be sweet?
Right.
Because the pasuk makes it sound like it is sweet to a person, meaning like he actually like partakes of the sweetness, and then it somehow
And
after that
sours.
sweetness is experienced, then it becomes like a gravel.
Right. Yeah. I think that it's that like that it is sweet, and like it's like tempting to him to do it. And maybe like easier than bread of truth.
Yeah, this is another question we should ask, by the way. And this question is not coming directly from the pasuk, but what is the opposite?
Right.
Okay, meaning Mishlei typically works with two halves of the pasuk being opposites, and then that way you see the Chacham's decision and the fool's decision. So like the opposite. So when the pasuk doesn't state the opposite, then you have to like infer it. Like what would be the good decision in this case? So what is the opposite? Okay, so in other words, i.e., what is bread of truth?
Right.
And how is it different?
Right. Like, is it not sweet? Like, meaning
Right.
if
That's
it's
another.
opposite,
That's
is it,
another
like,
good question.
not
Right.
sweet?
Right.
Or is it like maybe?
Or just like counterfeit bread, and both of them appear the same, and but then the one that's false turns out to be gravel.
Right. Or I was gonna say like maybe, I don't know if this makes sense. Maybe you could say like bread of truth, like maybe it's not gravel in the beginning, but like it is not sweet in the beginning, like like harder.
Right.
But then like the after effect is that then it's like there's like real sweetness, as opposed to here it's like tempting, it's sweet in the beginning, but then afterwards it's bad.
Right. So let me just make a methodology point really quickly. So there are two ways that we could go about figuring this out. Okay, we clearly need to figure out what lechem sheker is, right? So one way is to just start by thinking about this in abstract, like what is lechem sheker here, and then branch out into the mashal. The other way is to just think about the mashal the way that you're doing, in terms of like he's painting a tactile, gustatory, visual picture here of like of like this whole sensory experience of like eating this bread that is sweet and then becomes gravel, and then from there we can infer what the lechem sheker is. Those are two ways to take it.
Yeah, so kind of to build off what Avi's saying, I think when it's saying that it's bread that's sweet, to the man, that it's something that he desires. And the sheker part is the fact that he thinks it's going to satisfy something that it's not actually going to.
Okay.
And then the gravel in the mouth is the guilt that follows, because you realize that what you thought was going to satisfy your desire didn't actually.
Okay. So just to articulate what's going on here now, right? So I kind of was assuming that lechem sheker, that the sheker quality was part of the nimshal.
Okay.
Meaning that bread is a mashal for something, and then the sheker, like let's say like Alter says in the translation, right? Bread gotten through fraud, right? But you're saying that the sheker is part of the mashal, meaning it's like deceptive bread, in the sense that you think it's sweet and then it's not.
Yeah, and bread as to anything like you're gaining.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I hear. You see the difference between the two? Yeah, David.
Oh, there's something else to note also is the bread was just sweet, and then after he is filled with this garlic.
Yeah, that's true.
Of like bread, especially
that.
something that is like meant for satisfying oneself. And there's like this like you assume or you think there's gonna be a sweetness. He's not even getting filled in any way from the bread to start.
Right.
He's only getting filled with the gravel there.
Right, and it's only his mouth that's filled with the gravel.
Yeah.
Right, which is what do you call it? Which is not even where the food's supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know, like in other words, the way eating normally works is you eat and then it goes into your belly, and your belly is full with food. Here, his belly's not filled with food, and his mouth is filled with the gravel. You know, so it's like, you know, a perversion of the process, and it's premature in its in where it like lodges. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
I think maybe the lechem checker is maybe it's things that you gain through falsehood. Whether it could be in business and
yeah.
I can't think of business right now. But like, but
now,
yeah. But the things that that's something you get out of that's not in this the way you're supposed to.
Right. So let's just segue from that into Sadion for a second. Where does Sadion get the mamon thing from? As a translation, not as a commentary.
Well, lechem is like your sustenance.
Yeah, lechem is your sustenance, right? So I think it is a reasonable assumption that this does mean dafka, like
the sustenance, bread is sustenance.
Yeah, it's your livelihood, you know. So should we just take that as? I mean, you're saying that it is. I think you said like. Were you expanding to like all desires or pleasures? Yeah, okay, right. So I think those are the two ways, going to be two ways to take it. Either bread is a mashal for food or bread is a mashal for like livelihood, you know? And then the sheker thing is what makes it difficult, because sheker to me points much more to like sustenance that you get through deception. And you have to take like one more leap to say that the sheker is in terms of like a deceptive pleasure, you know? I mean, it's not saying it's like a bad leap. I'm just saying like it's, you know, it would be, you'd have to make the move of saying that the sheker is part of the lechem, yeah.
Isn't it, what were we saying before, the sheker is more like, it's just not true, as opposed to, like if it was fraud, that would be like
a lie.
That would be more, yeah, that would be more of a lie.
Right, yeah, that could be, yeah.
So it is weird that it's using like lechem sheker to be referring to.
Yeah, oh, so let me clarify what I meant when I corrected the translation, is sheker can mean both. Mm-hmm. Like an aid sheker knows that he's lying, you know? I mean, in many cases, you know, sheker is just a broader term, and lying is more specific, which is why when we're erring on the side of, when we're just translating it, I wanted to err on the side of the more direct meaning, but it could mean lying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just translation, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think I'm gonna go with live enough for a second, you know? Yeah. Because I don't know why it's more appealing.
You don't have big deals about going live enough just because I said it's the worst translation. Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I want to know why it's you know, sweet. Like, why does it taste sweet to the individual?
Yeah.
I mean, why is like, I don't know, you know, the sustenance or the moment you get from, you know, either it's stolen or it's just from the secret or whatever it is, you get it. Why is it, you know?
Okay, that's a good question. You can answer it, or are you just raising that question?
I'll raise the question for now.
Okay, yeah, right. So if we're taking the sustenance gained through deception, then how does the sweetness come from the fact that you're getting through deception? Yeah.
I want to say that why are we focusing in on deception? Because can we say that lechem sheker could be, for example, like you're having a fill on a product. You're not frauding anyone. You're not doing.
You're having what on Shabbos again? On Shabbos?
Yeah. You're not frauding anyone.
Right.
You're having any deceptive business practice, but you're just doing the wrong thing. And that's not on Shabbos. That would be considered a lechem check.
Yeah, well, you are correct that Sadigon broadens it to any mammon of Isser. You know, I guess I'm sticking to deception because the pasuk says sheker, and like in other words, I guess you're right. Sadigon might be open to that idea. I think if we're taking lechem as sustenance and we're reading into the pasuk, I would think that it has to be somehow involving a lie or a deception. So the store wouldn't be a case of that. By the way, just to clarify, when I said living nach is the worst translation, I didn't mean in general. I meant, just to clarify, I meant that that living nach is compared to art scroll. Living nach tends to choose, I don't know, like, yeah, more. Art scroll will default to Methudas David, which is and Rashi, which is more acceptable in Mishlei in terms of the like shot, but living nach will default to like specific approaches that don't seem like translations. So it's not that it's bad. It's just as if you're looking for literal translation, it's not necessarily good to use. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, the question.
Yeah, the question is good. I just wanted to clarify. I didn't want to like slander living nach. Yeah. Okay. So we were taking this approach for now, and then I want to explore shiur also, but like the livelihood. We'll just make sure we're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a slightly different way of approaching it.
Yeah.
Which is that it actually is sweet at a certain point.
Right. Not that it seems sweet.
Yeah. I mean, let's say, a person decides that they want to get something and they're, that they're going to get it through falsehood. Yeah. And then they actually do get it. Let's say they lie and they get it. Yeah. Which is a thing that happens. And then, and it's temporarily sweet because they get the enjoyment of it. But then afterwards, there's a lot of like small consequences that they didn't anticipate that are just unpleasant. And that's the
gravel. Nice. Small consequences. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Wait, so just to say the first part again, what was the sweetness?
The sweetness is like you got the thing that you wanted, and you're getting whatever enjoyment you're getting out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's say you steal an Xbox. Yeah. I mean that's not checker, but if you steal an Xbox and then you let's say you take an Xbox and you lie and you say it was you say it got stolen by someone. Yeah. Someone broke in and stole it. Yeah. Then you are getting the enjoyment of it, but then now you have to, let's say, like talk to the police and describe the person who stole it. Right. And like you have like all these like you have a lot of like there'll be a lot of like small consequences because you're not portraying what reality is. Yeah. Okay, so
let me just take that's a good step, just to add that one more step to the mashal here. So the small consequences being gravel, I like that, right? And also, it's not like, again, it's not saying that the bread that you eat that's sweet will become poison. Like it's not like talking about like a lethal consequence, right? But what happens to your eating though if your mouth is filled with gravel?
Eating itself is
not pleasant. But you can't eat. Yeah, you can't eat when your mouth is filled with gravel. So to me, that seems to be another good step to make there is that you think you're going to be eating the sweet bread, but then your mouth becomes filled with gravel, which are these like annoying things that are not the pleasure, and it blocked you from being able to enjoy the pleasure. See, now this is going to much towards your more towards your approach. Yeah, I mean it might be both, but yeah.
So I like that. I just want to know at what point. Where is the transition? At what point is the transition between sweetness and gravel?
That's a good question. I mean, I assume that's going to differ based on the cases or on the magnitude of the lies,
Or is it
like the scope?
Right. Or is it within each, sustenance you gain through the session, there will always be like a gravel that's left over?
So I don't think it's uniform. Like I do think that there's certain types of deception that you'll just have to like, cover your tracks in one area. And then there are like Ponzi schemes or whatever, or like cooking the books where you're going to have to be constantly, managing the web of lies that you are using to cover up the thing. And you have to be doing it for the rest of your life.
So if it's like 1,000 things that you're able to cover up, then it'll never turn into gravel.
No, that is the gravel.
That is the gravel.
Meaning the fact that like you now have 1,000 things that you have to manage that could become, because the nature of a lie, I mean, this is kind of other pasuk in Mishlei. The nature of a lie, and the reason why Mishlei is against lying, is because it is always a thing that you have to maintain, and it always has the potential to wreck your life. Right.
Right. Okay, the other question is, the person who's getting sustained through the falsehood, is he the one doing the falsehood, or is he getting the sustenance from another party who's doing it?
Seems like he's the one who's doing the falsehood, right? Like it seems to be needlessly complicated to deposit another individual here. Yeah. So what?
Yeah. There's also, if we're taking it down the business route, also there is like a certain sweetness when you're able to like swindle someone out of something, like that you're able to, like you think you can meet the system.
Right.
But then when you're actually trying to like swallow whatever you're like whoever you got, you can never really actually like fully intake that and enjoy it. Like you know that this isn't really yours and there's something, as much as like you think you got that sweetness of getting it, but as you're trying to enjoy it, you can't really enjoy it.
Okay, so all right, so two points. One point is I was thinking about that. I think it was something that you said about the process. Like if you read it as the sweetness coming from the process of gaining it through deception, part of it is the swindling of the person. But then what's the easier explanation of why that is sweet? Why money earned through falsehood is sweet? It's easier, right? It's like you get, presumably you're not swindling in a way which involves more work on your part. You're doing it in a way that involves less work. So you get the sweetness of like actually like easy money, you know, and then there's the tricking of the person. And of the two, I hear what you're saying, but that only works if you have a guilty conscience. You know, there are plenty of people who like their attitude towards cheating people out is, well, like if you're a sucker, then you deserve to get swindled, you know, or people who are just sociopathic, or people who like, this is just how business is done, you know, so like, I'm less inclined towards that of like the guilt bothering you, but with the easy money thing, then like, that lends itself more to like what we're saying about the consequences. See, now I'm on the fence here because I feel like a lot of the stuff we're saying can go either with the living nach RL approach or the shua approach of the talking about like illicit pleasures in general or the specific money thing. And I feel like if we stick with the money thing, that would encompass yours in a way. So like maybe we should just focus on that for now. And then
I was gonna say the opposite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like a broader like thing, and like the money thing is, I guess.
Oh, I think that's what I meant. I said it really badly. Encompassing, yeah. Sorry. What I meant is that what I meant is arriving at the idea. If we pursue this as an interpretation, then that'll give us insight into that. But you're right. Conceptually, then Shua is the broader one, and this is more specific. Yeah.
Are we saying that the gravel, it has to be all of that, or it could be a broader concept in general that all the pleasures you taste after here, it tastes good in this world, but in the next world, it's people you miss out.
So there's two reasons why I'm inclined to say that it's in this world. One is because the way that we learn Mishlei, my preferred way of learning Mishlei is Saadia Gaon, who says it's a book about everyday decision making to maximize pleasure and minimize pain in life, in this life, you know. And so that's just the typical way that I approach Mishlei, is that it's about Olam Hazeh. And a lot of them agree with me, not all of them do, you know. But then the other thing is like, I find that if you say it's about Olam Haba, it just becomes a thing where you're not learning anything from the pasuk. Like, remember kids, Olam Haba, like that's the only idea that you get, you know, you know, it's like, we already know, we walk into Mishlei knowing that there's Skarv Onish and Olam Haba. And since we can't know anything about Skarv Onish and Olam Haba anyway, then like, you know, like I want more out of the idea. And it seems like such a specific mashal that like, you know, so if you can get a specific idea about Olam Haba that has to do with gravel, then that would be good. But for both those reasons is why I'm inclined to do Olam Hazeh. Yeah. Okay, so in the remaining, I mean, just because I have no idea who's going to be here tomorrow. So should we do some Mefarshim now, just now that we've like mapped out two approaches, or do we want to like try to refine the? I feel like we should do some Mefarshim. Yeah. Let's not make people feel guilty about like coming or not coming tomorrow. let's just go with the flow here. What was that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you do need guilt. Yeah.
Just statistically, some people are going to not be here.
Right. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we leave people with some ideas. That's my guilt talking. Okay. All right. So let's look at our usual pecking order here. Is Metzudas David, who gives us the most minimal of the Mefarshim, of the Pirushim, and then Rבינו Yona. So Metzudas David, bottom right in the Torah Chaim editions. Yeah. Arev. So matok lefi ha'ish machal gadol. Okay. What he does, the combo. Stolen food is sweet in lefi ha'ish, in the mouth of a man. Stolen food, not stolen livelihood, and not food, but stolen food. Okay. Aval achris hadavar, but at the end of the matter, asher yehafich bepiv lechatzatz, when it transforms in his mouth to gravel.
It is the gravel. The bread is the gravel.
The bread is the gravel. Yes. Okay. Right. Let's see where he's going with this. Hamashabros es hashinayim. Oh, that's another consequence. It's going to break your teeth. right? Not like a Gemara
didn't
breaking
even
of the
think
seed,
about that.
right? Yeah, we didn't think about that. Yeah, I was picturing it just like squirrel form, like
Yeah.
it's holding gravel in his mouth,
Yeah.
but no, it's like you're chewing on the gravel. The inam must be in, and it doesn't satiate you. So it's two things. It breaks your teeth and it's not satiated. So this is kind of like what I was saying in response to David, only more extreme. Not only is it a bad experience and prevents you from being satiated, but it actually ruins your ability to eat, like permanently, you know? Rosalomar, Od Yiraze Mishamin Bisaro. He will become thinner from his fatty flesh. Okay, meaning he's going to be emaciated. You know, he's basically, yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be a good money making thing, right? Sell pouches of gravel. Have the the gravel diet. Oh, we could just all right, let's talk after. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he is, again, classic Mitzvahs David, not explaining the idea, but giving us a very clear direction, right? So he's basically fleshing out, he's basically expanding on the mashal here, right? Breaks the teeth and doesn't satisfy you. And he's saying that the nimshal is it's stolen food. So let's just think about that for a second. How does
making it clear that it's the bread that's turning into gravel?
Right, the bread is turning into gravel. Right. And that is a very conservative.
Why it breaks your teeth is because you think it's bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. The experience evoked by Isaac's 39 Malachos mashal, I think, does work in the sense if you are, I mean, it is the worst thing if you're like eating something that has like bones or like something in it, and then you just crunch down on something. It's sorry. It's a terrible experience, but like that, there's like in the ultimate sense.
It still doesn't explain how like, well, why should it turn to gravel if you just steal food?
Yeah, right. That's what we have. That's the main question we have to answer here. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that that the idea of breaking teeth, I think that like I don't know if the Jewish concept how teeth are like a guard of what you say,
right?
Like a guard of deed. So is that coming to teach us that the more stolen bread you do, or that it breaks the teeth, meaning that you have less of a guard against doing now what causes you to steal more later.
It is funny because you're right, the teeth are in the mouth, and there are a lot of mouth things that have to do with speech. But it is weird. I've never in my life seen in Mishlei teeth associated with speech. Now, I also haven't seen pasukim about teeth, but in Mishlei world, peh, sophasaim, lashon, right? You know, like there are lots of of things that have to do with speech. So, and that's the only reason I'm not inclined to go in that direction for here. Also because the pasuk does not mention teeth, even though it kind of alludes to it. If you want to get this from the pasuk, you could say that comes from the fact that the pasuk says mouth. You know, so there is an opening there. No pun intended. Yeah. So what? Let's just focus on this case: stealing food. What is the consequence of stealing food that ruins your ability to chew and to be satiated? And why focus on the stealing of the food? I mean, again, once you're going to stealing stuff, Sadigon seems to be much better of stealing a livelihood. You know, why focus on the food thing?
Maybe you're afraid they can't.
How is that breaking your teeth or not being satisfied? You still get to eat the food. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, you can still. Well, maybe it's more quantity, because if you eat one piece of, let's take one bread for instance. You steal one bread, and it turns into gravel. Yeah. One gravel is not a problem.
I think it's turning into a lot of gravel though. I think it's turning into a mouth. Oh, unless you're reinterpreting the mashal.
The first loaf doesn't turn into gravel or turns into very little.
Right. Okay. You're saying over time, the diet is what makes the gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over time, you steal 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's more likely someone's going to catch on, and when you eat this bread, it's not like your first stolen bread.
Yeah.
First stolen bread.
You're looking at that like wistfully, like.
Yeah. With the 1,000th bread, all right, it's not that sweet anymore, but all the more. But however, the more you do it, the more people will catch on, and the more of a high risk you'll take, and you won't be able to enjoy it or you won't be able to enjoy it at all, as you used to.
Yeah, so I'm liking this idea. First of all, I think it would be hilarious if I played police siren just to see if you jump, like there's some sort of like hidden pass here. But the diet of stolen bread, I think, is a better approach to the Mitzvahs David. Like that, it does not seem like one piece of stolen bread is going to have this result. Yeah.
Also, if you're getting your food from these easy tricky methods, then if you're doing that constantly, then you sort of lose the ability to actually work hard
Right. There's no dependency like food. Right. Yeah. Okay. Like, yeah. So if you're dependent on food in a way that is both easy and so the fact that it's food is going to make you already in a situation where you're dependent on it. And if your circumstances are such that it drove you to steal, that's another factor. And then the fact that it is easier than making a living is also something that's going to attach you to it. And yeah, it's going to help. It's going to prevent you from doing this. Is anyone else thinking of Aladdin? No, because I only picture stealing bread of like a like a Aladdin-esque type thing, and like he has to like I'm sure he can't steal from that market so much. Like they're going to recognize him at some point, and like yeah, they do right. Yeah. Yes, that's the plot. The whole plot of the movie. Yeah. Right. So what are we saying now? So let's just try to universalize here, and then if we have time, we'll go to Rubin and Yona. So we're saying here that if you are, what's our idea? Someone state our idea.
Well, the question on this idea is what if it's a sociopath or
I'm trying to get you to say it.
Or just immune to stealing? Because I
don't know. I see. This is the good thing. I don't think it matters if he's a sociopath, right? Because what you're saying is your idea. You should say it. No, right? Aren't you saying that if you are constantly depending on stealing food to live, right, then it is going to become harder and harder for you to do that. I'll give you another example. Okay. Yeah.
Clarifying, I was saying that, but also you're not going to be able to like go back to making money in a normal way.
Oh, okay, right. That part is true, but I don't quite see it in here yet. In the puzzle.
Well, yeah, like you're not going to be able to eat normally if
you're
constantly eating this.
So what's the breaking of the teeth and the not being satisfied in the way you're saying it?
Oh yeah, like if you're, I don't know what's
that. Okay, maybe it's like this. Let's work it out like this. Maybe the breaking of the teeth means that it'll cripple your ability to get sustenance in the legitimate way. Yeah. Either because of external consequences of people catching you, or because of the psychological dependency on doing it through this like backhanded way.
Yeah.
And then as a result of that, you will not be satisfied, which means you're not going to get food. And let me give you another example outside of bread and Aladdin. That they still, I assume that with the anim around here, they still have the star system. Yeah, right. So like this is when I was in yeshiva, then you have to, if you're an ani, then you go to the VOD and they like check out, they investigate you and they certify you. And there were definitely people, to certify that you're actually in a situation of poverty. There were definitely people who would try to either like fake their signatures and stuff, or like, or just go around with expired things. You're only going to be able to do that for a certain amount of time. And what would happen is these guys would come and we would give them $1 and we would give the legit aniyim like a lot more money, So like, and if you keep on doing it, now we recognize that you're this guy who goes around and like defrauds people, or like, I think one time your grandfather told me a story about like, he was outside of New York and then someone tried to collect tzedakah to raise money for a school. And the address that they put was like on his block or something like that. And it was just a totally fake school, and like, like these things, they will, I think when you're contemplating the theft, you think of it in terms of that one instance, but you don't realize that you're jeopardizing your future ability to engage in the theft and therefore your future ability to get the result that you want, which is sustenance,
Okay. You're looking at it like in terms, like it's a self-defeating.
It's a self-defeating thing, but either because of external circumstances or internal. I don't think it's, and maybe you can even say that like it is מצודת only divided into two, the breaking of the teeth and the not being satisfied. You could say it like I was saying, which is breaking the teeth, which I wasn't saying, the mouth being filled with gravel, which means you can't consume food. And then the fact that you're not being satiated, like you could break into three things. I don't know if that helps us or not, but I'm just saying like there's different ways to break down the mashal to get these ideas in there, Yeah.
I think the way that Sheker works with this in the it's like the opposite of like an honest day's work. Like that's like
so you're saying the opposite of the puzzle, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And so this is like it's like a false day's work.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Question. So
Sure.
this is the Acha Yamale.
Yeah.
And what Zev was saying with that, like, or you were saying with you eat one piece and the 1,000th piece is the one that turns into gravel.
Right.
So what does V'achar mean?
So V'achar would just mean at a later time.
So it's a process.
It's a process, yeah, as opposed to like when we first learned the pasuk, I thought it meant like immediately,
Right.
you know, but it means like at a later point in time. Yeah. Really quickly in the last 2 minutes, let's just see if Rביno and Yona says anything that is different. Okay, here we go. So he takes shiur's approach. Yud Zayin, left column, middle, bottom, if that makes any sense. This is coming to denigrate lustfulness or the instinctual desire. Amar, and it's saying so someone who's drawn after his taiva below yabit b'shas hatava la'acharisa, and he doesn't at the time of the desire does not look towards its end, towards its ultimate outcome. The Ariv lo lechem gezel v'chamat. Now he goes into and bread of theft and robbery is sweet to him. Afal pi shiodea ki achare achlo yamale pihu chol v'chatzatz asher yigares shinav. And after he eats it, he'll fill his mouth with sand. I hate sand and gravel. Asher yigares shinav, which will grind his teeth. V'hu mashal aha onesh, and this is an allegory for punishment. V'hinei higid godel sichlus b'nei adam. This is telling us the magnitude of human folly. Ich chotim b'nei adam levakesh hana'a. How people sin in their quest for enjoyment. V'him yodim, and they know ki bashla b'shalah hatsa'ar hagadol lahem ba'akrisa. Does it mean to ripen? That the suffering, the great suffering, will ripen for them in the future. I don't know what the. Yeah, ripen and cooking are the same thing. I think ripen fits in better here. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, fine. This is by way of how a person reckons with his soul. You should calculate the loss of the mitzvah against its reward and the reward of an avera against its loss. Which again, that's the whole premise of Mishlei here, right? Is that you have to look at the reward of people are used to looking at the reward of a mitzvah, but they don't look at the loss of a mitzvah. You know, like what do you lose out by doing a mitzvah? And with an avera, then people tend to focus on the punishment, but not the reward. You know, you have to weigh both of them, you know, to see. Okay, then he says, because of the future punishment, the desire will overpower you and blind your eyes from this. That's why Shlomo was teaching this mashal. So that a person should think about it by way of allegory, speak to the psyche in its own language, and take it to heart. Maybe his mouth will become filled with gravel, and he will not separate from it after eating the bread of falsehood. Shouldn't he stop? I don't know why he's saying even though he should refrain on account of the bitterness that will come in the future for the hate. That was a long sentence or long thing. Yeah. So he is making it about desire, but it's not clear to me. It's not clear to me the specificity of his idea. It seems like a very general idea. Yeah, we should end this year officially now. We can continue talking about it, but some people have to go to their morning seder. So let's officially end now, and we'll think about it and see what we do tomorrow. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.